You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
Hey, my lean and lit lovelies. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Get Lean and Lit with Lindy podcast. Another episode is coming your way today. We are the podcast community, for those of you that don't know, where we build muscle, we lose fat, and we keep our sanity while keeping our health. That's kind of what we do around here. Because at the end of the day, let's just be honest with each other. Healthy lifestyle, I'm putting it in quotations, can make you miserable if you're not doing it the right way. We want to do it so that it lasts, it's sustainable. We want to have a certain level of enjoyability of all of this. It's not torture. So that's kind of what we're doing today. Today, we're going to tackle a topic that has way too much drama for something that literally dissolves in your coffee. We are talking about artificial sweeteners today. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, let's talk about, are they toxic? Are they helpful? Are they secretly plotting against your metabolism? We're going to talk about all of it today. Let's get into it. Okay, so real talk. If you're over 40 and you are trying to lose fat, you already have a lot of things working against you. We're going to keep it real today. We have hormonal shifts. We are slower to recovery after working out, and we have less room for just winging it with no plan. We all really need a comprehensive and realistic health strategy that includes sustainable nutrition and a realistic exercise plan. Okay, so we're not here to aimlessly just do whatever with no plan. That's not what we're about. We are over here to keep it real and to keep it consistent and to have a plan for our health. So when it comes to nutrition, we need tools that will actually help us stay consistent. That is critical. We don't need things that are going to make us feel bad or feel like we're punishing ourselves. But let's talk about having a sweet tooth, because that's real. We all have them. I have a small sweet tooth. I actually like salty stuff better than I like sweet stuff. But in general, a lot of people have sweet tooths. That's a really big one. Learning how to deal with your sweet tooth as you're trying to focus on your health and your nutrition, that's a big topic. Because most of us are not into living a joyous life. We don't want to live a dessert-free existence. We want to be able to have treats every now and then. Even though I don't like sweets as much, I like salty things, I still eat sweets and I still want to have sweets in my life. So let's talk about how we can have little sweet treats here and there and still keep it human, still keep it real, and still keep it consistent. So in talking with folks around me and people that I interact with all the time, I always see that there's a big misconception about sweeteners. The most common myths that I hear are that all artificial sweeteners are bad for you, just period, point blank. And I definitely get where that perspective is coming from, but there are some sweeteners that can cause digestive issues, increase cravings, or just kind of make you feel off, not your best. But lumping all artificial sweeteners together is really not the answer. That's like saying all carbs are bad because one time you ate a whole basket full of bread at a restaurant. Like, we definitely need to nuance some of this stuff. So, to that point, let's talk about the better options that are available to us in the sweetener category. So, personally, my favorite sweeteners are stevia and monk fruit. To me, they are the real sweetener MVPs, really. Stevia and monk fruit specifically are different than some of the other artificial sweeteners like sucralose and saccharin, things like that, because they're natural, they're low calorie sweeteners. Most importantly, they do not spike your blood sugar and they have little to no calories, and they can possibly help you reduce your overall sugar intake. So both of these, stevia and monk fruit, come from plants rather than from fully synthetic or human-made processes. So stevia is a leafy plant that's native to South America. It's 200 to 300 times sweeter than sugar, so you really only need a few drops to replace the sugar. Some people that consume stevia may notice a slightly bitter or kind of licorice, black licorice like aftertaste. But you have to find the stevia that's right for you because they're all a little bit different. So you have to experiment amongst those. Now, monk fruit is a small melon that's native to southern China, and it's about 200 to 250 times sweeter than sugar. And a lot of times you're going to find monk fruit that's mixed with other sweeteners like erythritol to improve its texture and a little bit to improve its taste. So monk fruit usually has less bitterness than stevia, but again, you have to find your own preferred product. So it's a trial and error type of situation. Both stevia and monk fruit are recognized as safe by the US FDA. So that's always a good thing. And for many women, me included, these products are a game changer. Not because they're magical or anything like that in and of themselves, but because consuming them allows you to stay consistent with your health and nutrition journey, and it makes it so much easier to eat something that is sweetened. So let's get into the practicality of things. I have a friend, I'm going to call her Renee. Renee absolutely loves her morning coffee. She is kind of addicted to coffee. She actually calls herself a coffee addict and swears that she cannot get her day started without having her coffee. Her coffee used to come with 3 teaspoons of sugar, a generous pour of flavored creamer, and sometimes even whipped cream on top of that. This is her at-home concoction. I'm not even going to get into what she orders at Starbucks. So it was basically a dessert in a mug first thing in the morning, even before she had her water. Now, anybody that's listened to my podcast at all, you know I'm about my water, about my hydration. So I was just clutching my pearls when she told me that this was her regular routine. So if that wasn't bad enough, she was actually drinking that coffee concoction twice, sometimes 3 times a day on most days. So this is not good at all, obviously. So we had a heart-to-heart about it, and I convinced her to make some changes, just a couple of changes. So we didn't really overhaul her entire diet because that wasn't necessary, but we focused on her coffee concoction that she had every morning. So I encouraged her to swap out the sugar for monk fruit and to change her creamer to unsweetened almond milk. Believe it or not, these 2 changes saved her between 250 and 300 calories a day. So long story short, she lost 12 pounds over about 3 months, 3 to 4 months. And more importantly, she didn't feel deprived. She was still able to keep up her coffee ritual every day, but she just made it significantly healthier using non-sugar sweeteners. So I encourage you guys, ask yourself, is there something in your current nutrition plan that falls into this same scenario? It might be time to be honest with yourself and to make that change from sugar to maybe a monk fruit or stevia sweetener. Now, one important thing that I researched is if sweeteners can actually cause cravings, which I've heard a lot about, kind of some rumblings about it. So I had to dig into the research. You often hear anecdotally that sweeteners make you crave more sweet things. So let's talk about what's in the research. The truth to that question is it depends on the individual person. And that's very common. Everybody's different. So some people do notice increased cravings, but a lot of people don't notice increased cravings. So for me personally, sweeteners do not increase my sugar cravings at all. But everyone has to try it out for themselves to determine if it does or doesn't for you. Remember, I encourage you to adapt the concept of N equals 1 whenever you're trying something new. And what do I mean by that? In research terms, N means the number of subjects in the study. So when I say N equals 1, I'm literally saying research you, yourself, to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. You always have to be your own experiment subject because we are all different people. We're all made up of different cells. We all have different DNA. So what works for me may not work for you. But in general, what I'm talking about today in terms of sweeteners works for most people. So try it out. And here's a scenario that I often see. When women completely restrict sweetness, they basically eventually snap. Can you guys relate to that? Kind of go out of control, like into I deserve this mode if you restrict so much. And suddenly it's not just one cookie, it's like 12 cookies. It might be a whole sleeve of Oreos because you've deprived yourself and told yourself you're not going to have any sugar, which can get out of control. That's just not cool, y'all. We can't do that. Low-calorie sweeteners can actually help bridge the gap of going extreme. One thing to be cognizant of is the all or nothing cycle. And that applies to sweeteners, but also just kind of in general across your health journey. A lot of people have a very strict personal stance of clean eating only, no sugar, no sweeteners, nothing processed ever, which sounds really good on paper, but I don't know about real world practice of that. Often with this level of strictness and just really hardcore black and white thinking about nutrition, every few weeks it's common to feel the urge to binge when you restrict yourself really tightly. And that cycle is super hard to manage. So if you have a sweet tooth, my suggestion is to add in things like stevia sweetened yogurt, protein shakes that you can sweeten with monk fruit, and just giving yourself a little bit more flexibility in general around your nutrition. I say try it out. I think that your binges will definitely decrease, or they may even stop if you're in the mindset of being very restrictive with yourself. My estimate is that your progress is going to take off. Why do I say that? Because white knuckling something and holding on to an unrealistic eating pattern is just going to make you miserable, and it's not sustainable at all. So hanging on by a thread is what we're not doing around here. Okay? We just aren't doing it. So next, I want to address gut health and safety as it relates to these sweeteners. So let's keep it real and balanced. Some artificial sweeteners, like those that have sugar alcohols, for example, can really mess with your digestion. You can experience bloating, gas, the whole 9 yards, which you do not want to do that. But stevia and monk fruit are generally very, very well tolerated by most people. They're very common. The key is to pay attention to how you're feeling, to not overdo it, and to choose quality products that don't have a ton of fillers in them. So personally, my favorite stevia of all time is the liquid stevia that's sold at Trader Joe's in a little 4-ounce bottle. It has minimal additives and it's organic. To me, it has no bitter aftertaste at all. The one downside is it's a little pricey, but to me, it's well worth it. So I encourage you guys maybe check that type of stevia out, or maybe there's a different type of stevia that you have access to that you want to give a try. So years ago, before I did the proper research of the scientific studies, I kind of went down the internet rabbit hole on this stuff. I was convinced that every sweetener was toxic. So there was a period in time that I cut them all out, but I replaced them with natural sweeteners. and sugar like honey, maple syrup, coconut sugar, things like that. And my calories skyrocketed. When I actually looked at the numbers, put pen to paper, I was consuming more sugar than I was before. So I reintroduced stevia and monk fruit in a few places, and boom, calorie balance was restored and my progress was resumed. So, what's the moral of that story? Natural doesn't automatically mean better for fat loss. So, keep that in mind. All right, now let's get practical about how to use these sweeteners, stevia and monk fruit, strategically and how I recommend using them. You can use them in your coffee or your tea instead of sugar. You can use them in unsweetened Greek yogurt instead of adding honey or anything sweetener wise that has a lot of calories. You can use them in your protein shakes. You can use them when you're baking brownies using cocoa powder. We had a big segment on how healthy cocoa powder is for you, unsweetened cocoa powder. So you could use it for that. But what not to do with this, though, is use it every day, all day in massive amounts, or use it as an excuse to overlook your overall nutrition. I mean, these aren't the type of items that you just want to consume in great quantities. It's just, that's not going to be good either. But what I'm trying to say is if you have a sweet tooth and you want some sweets in your life, it's better to use monk fruit or stevia than it is to use a ton of sugar, if that makes a lot of sense. They're just a tool. They're not a free pass to go wild on sweet things. So here are my final thoughts on the subject. At the end of the day, your results will still come down to your consistency, your calorie balance, strength training, protein intake, and also your hydration. So you still got to do the basics. If a little stevia or a little monk fruit helps you out and keeps you on track, to me, that's a win. But remember, we're not here for perfection. We're here for progress that actually sticks. Consistency is what we're going for. Okay? All right, lovelies, that's it for today's episode of Get Lean and Live with Lindy. And if this helped you rethink your relationship with sweeteners or gave you permission to stop overcomplicating things, send it to a friend who needs to hear this message. And remember, you don't need to suffer to see results. We're not here to be miserable. We need to still have joy on our healthy journey. You just need a strategy that's going to work for your life. So until next time, keep it real, keep it consistent, and I will catch you on the next episode. Bye.
Boom! I just earned a $600 bonus with an Old National Bank checking account.
You got this.
I do?
Earn up to a $600 bonus when you open an eligible checking account and complete qualifying activities. Old National Bank. Just another reason to get old.
Can you say bonus?
When she walked in on her first day at Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas, she didn't know a soul.
I'm Zion, and I'm a second year at DFC.
A year later, and so many changes for Zion.
I love my friends here. I couldn't do anything without them. We support each other all the time.
At Doherty Family College, Zion also finds support on the academic side. Like all DFC students, Zion can count on a team committed to her success. Doherty Family College is Minnesota's affordable private college option. DFC students earn their associate's degree and then can transition to a 4-year college or university for their bachelor's. Many are students of color or first in their family to go to college.
It's nice to see people that look like you pursuing an education, wanting to succeed academically.
Zion encourages any high school student looking for a college home to do what she did and apply to Doherty Family College.
All the support you can need is here.
Ready to make your move and experience Doherty Family College for yourself? Then schedule your visit to the Minneapolis campus at dfc.stthomas.edu/visit.
It's Shaletta Brundage, Minnesota's autism mom. I need you to help me help stop Medicaid fraud. If your child needs autism services, choose a provider carefully. Legitimate providers won't pressure you to sign up, offer you gift cards, or contact you unexpectedly for personal information. Instead, a good provider will develop an individualized plan for your child and communicate with you regularly. If your child receives autism services, make sure the services are actually provided. Watch your mail for those explanation of benefits letters, right? They show you the services billed under your child's name. Look that thing over. Did your child get all of the services on the dates listed? Now listen, if you have concerns, trust your instincts and report suspected fraud to the Minnesota Department of Human Services at mn.gov/DHS/report-fraud. Or you can always give them a call at 1-800-657-3750.